Hello and welcome to Council Catch-Up on WSTO TV. Just a reminder, WSTO TV is on TDS Channel 12 in HD. It's on Spectrum Cable Channel 981. We also have a Roku, Android, and Apple TV and Fire TV app, as well as an Android and iOS app for your mobile devices. Also, another note, all of the city email addresses are changing. So if you do email city staff, it is now at cityofstoughton.com to make it easier for you to remember. So we're going to talk about the March 14th, 2023 council meeting, and I'm here with Mayor Tim Swadley. Welcome.
Thank you.
So they started the meeting with the roll call and certification of compliance with open records or open meetings laws, lots of minutes and reports, and then a couple of people spoke at the public comment period. Then there were some presentations, and if you want to see those presentations, you can watch the whole meeting online. We're going to get into new business, and the first item of new business was Ordinance 4. And that was a first reading to amend a speed limit on Rutland-Dunn Town Line Road.
Rutland-Dunn Town Line Road is out off of 51 by the new development, and the idea would be is if you're coming toward 51 on Rutland-Dunn, basically from where the entrance into the 51 West development is to Highway 51, we'd want to reduce that speed limit to 35 miles per hour. Eventually, there's a roundabout that's being scheduled to be built in 2026. We want to reduce the traffic speed in order to make it safer and prepare people for the roundabout. Also, having that lower traffic speed now helps the design. One of the things they take into consideration when they're designing the widths of roads and things like that is the speed limit. So it just seems prudent to do this now. First reading means it'll come back for the actual vote at the next meeting.
Okay. And that road just recently became part of the city. That was a township road, correct?
Right, yep. The segment that goes from 51 to the development is part of the city, and then from there on out, that would still be in the township.
Okay. And then item 8 was Resolution 38 of 2023, approving the name of the shelter at Eggleston's Wood Park as Lions Club Shelter.
So we have basically a policy that we follow that says that if a group wants to have naming rights to the park or a feature in the park, they can do that, but they have to pay for half of the cost of that. So the Lions Club is willing to contribute $15,000 toward the shelter. So they plan on putting their logo on the shelter when it's completed.
All right. And then item 9, Resolution 39 of 2023, was to amend the 2023 adopted budget for ARPA funds to purchase an ambulance for EMS.
And this is kind of a housekeeping thing. The EMS director, Lisa, was able to secure a grant from the state of Wisconsin toward the cost of a new ambulance. And then we're going to supplement that state grant with some ARPA funds in order to make the purchase, which is approximately $300,000. So basically, the Committee of the Whole had recommended that we go forward with that. So we need to do the budget amendment in order to be able to accommodate that in our bookkeeping.
All right. And then the next one, also another ARPA funds update, was for city digital welcome signs.
So we have a proposal to purchase 3 digital welcoming signs. And what happened is when we were preparing the 2022 budget in the fall of 2021, there was a notation in our budget document that basically said grant money was going to pay for these signs. And it wasn't really identified in there where that was going to come from. So there was confusion of whether there was a grant written or if it was ARPA funds or if it should have been just regular bonds that we typically borrow for through our CIP process. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to continue that conversation in April when we have our next Committee of the Whole meeting to discuss ARPA.
All right. Item 11 was Resolution 41, amendments to the Fire Department Assistant Fire Chief position description.
Yeah, so there's a number of position descriptions and reorg charts for the fire and for Public Works as well. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to put in some structure into the departments to help kind of organize our current and our future needs. And so everybody kind of understands who they report to, what area that they're in, and they may be in training in one area and certain aspects of the fire department in other areas. So it really kind of identifies who's going to be doing what, who would be leading those battalions and those types of things. And we want to make the job descriptions for the positions that oversee these areas in the fire department consistent with what we want them to do in practice.
And that covers item number 12. And item number 13, similar thing with a athletic facility superintendent position. Yeah,
so what we're doing there is we created a job description to kind of separate the park maintenance. Has been all under one umbrella, and what we want to do is separate it out. So we have a group that works strictly on the park maintenance, and then another group that would work on the field maintenance, athletic fields, things like that. Obviously, as things go, there'll still be some crossover between the two different areas, but we want to more clearly define roles and responsibilities.
And then item 14 is a Public Works Office Manager position description.
Yeah, so the Public Works has had an administrative assistant position for many years, and that position has really evolved into really more than that. It's evolved into an office manager position. And you see most municipalities that are our size have an office manager, and they just have more responsibilities than your typical administrative assistants would have. So what we wanted to do is really make the job description consistent with what tasks that person is currently doing.
All right. Item 15, Ordinance 5 of 2022, or is that 2023?
Should be 2023.
Okay. First reading about establishing a historic downtown local district.
So currently in the downtown, we have an overlay district, which means all the buildings that are on Main Street, basically from Water Street to the railroad tracks, are in this overlay district. It does go 1 or 2 blocks back on some of the side streets. And currently, if you're going to do renovation or maintenance on the outside of the building, you would go into Michael Stacy and he would say, well, your building is a local landmark. If it is, then you would go to the Landmarks Commission and get a certificate of authenticity in order to do the work on the building for historical preservation. If it's a building that is not a local landmark, and especially if it's what we would call a non-contributing, where it's not currently eligible or may never be eligible to be a local landmark, then it would go to the Plan Commission. So under this proposal, we would establish the whole district as a historic district. So all those remodels and maintenance work would go to the Landmarks Commission. So this one will come back at the next meeting. There'll be some more information as far as kind of the process, design guidelines, expectations, as far as how this would work in practice. So this was here last night as kind of an introduction.
All right, and the last item on the agenda was a 4th amendment to the real estate purchase and sale agreement and the development agreement for Stoughton Riverfront Development, LLC.
Yeah, so this one here went into closed session, and basically what's happening is we're under contract with Kurt Brink on the Riverfront Development until the end of the month. And so we wanted to go into closed session to kind of get an update from the redevelopment authority where Kurt is at on his project and what we could expect between now and the end of the month and going forward. So you'll probably hear more about this as we get into April.
All right, sounds good. And then that was all we had for that meeting. And of course, if you want to watch the whole meeting, you can watch it on WSTO, online, on cable, on all of our smart apps that we had, and also on YouTube. That's all we've had. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great day, everyone.